All right, Sports Inquirer here with sophomore libero from Georgia State Volleyball, Ryan Spicer Gordon. We'll start with the Chattanooga contest, five sets, a back and forth affair. Just overall impressions of how the team performed in that match.
Um, I would say we performed really well. We were very consistent all 5 sets. With the back and forth, it can be kind of hard to keep pushing forward, especially because the games go on longer, rallies go on longer. But overall, I feel like we did really well.
What was like you were down 2 sets to none. What was the change in approach to tie the match up and eventually get into a fifth set?
After losing the first 2 sets, we just said it was a clean slate and it was just time to turn the match around. And we all went in there with a plan to turn it around and just compete for the next 3 sets to keep it tied up and to win the game.
Now, you individually, you had a career high in 23 digs. I talked with Sally earlier about your increased role with the team. What was that like for you being out there in a starting spot and having that strong statistical night?
It was really exciting for me personally. It is a different position. I was playing middle back last year and right back last year, so it is a different position, a lot of more leadership and a lot more of like context on the ball. But overall, I was really excited and just played as hard as I could, and just I felt very prepared for that match.
Discuss that position change. I did my research. It looks like at the high school level and the club level, you played libero. Is that
Yes,
correct?
I did.
Right, but then you
Yes.
go to and then you sign with Georgia State, and they move you to more of a different position. What was
Mhm.
that like for you, just your freshman year, having to make that change?
It was very different because of playing left back my whole career, but I just had to focus on a little bit more of the changes because it is very different when you're on a different side of the court. You get different angles from the hitters, different approaches to everything. Um, so it's nice being back in like the old spot, but it is different trying to go back to the new positions and then come back to the old, and it's very different. But it's kind of I feel like I've kind of just gotten settled in my groove, kind of back to the old ways.
Did you work on that during the summer, or did you go back to maybe your prep coaches or anything like that just to get you used to being back in that position for this year?
Yes, it since I had not played that position all last year, in the spring, it was made known just that this would be a possibility this fall. And so I started training in every position in the spring just so I'd be prepared forever for wherever I was put.
Yeah, and then what is that like now, having a fall camp, being back there as the libero, being the defensive quarterback or the pilot for the team?
Um, it's really fun because I like being in that leadership role. I like how everyone how we have to work it as a system and get everyone on the same page, and um, it's really exciting for me just being all over the place and just taking over that role. I've been preparing for it for the whole camp, and it's really exciting to just finally be back there.
And speaking of the fall camp, I'm sure it's been a very unique situation for everyone with the pandemic and everything going on. How has the team handled all of the changes as far as the training and then academically? I'm sure things are a lot different on campus, or as far as your academic load. Just how is the team handling it, and what has the team tried to do to find some type of consistency through all of this?
We definitely realized that we needed to be flexible. Our coaches made it very clear to us that changes would be happening every week, every day, pretty much. And so to kind of get back into that same consistency as we would be in regular class, we made a schedule where even with online class and being in our dorms or apartments, we planned out what days we would do each classes, what hours, and work it around our practice hours, and just try to make it like a normal day, but just not being in class.
And then what about game day itself? I talked with Sally also about the process of driving to the gym, a quick warm up, and actually playing instead of having, I guess, a little warm up before the match, I guess, a serve and volley or something like that. How do you think the team is going to have to adjust now to driving up to arenas and playing right afterwards as opposed to night befores and all that type of stuff?
I think mentally we all just have to get in that headspace that this is the time we're allowed. And so just getting the mental side of the game prepared first, knowing that we may not be able to prepare physically more ahead like we usually are, but just mentally making up for that lack of like the physical preparation with more mental self-talk and mentality based.
Sure. And then lastly, you have Mercer in your home opener. What's the team been working on in practice this week to prepare for that contest and just continue to get better at?
After watching the Chattanooga matches, just watching what we did well, what we may have, what our weaknesses may be, and focusing on our weaknesses in practice with working on like serve receive systems and getting more of like a group dynamic in that, and just focusing on what we have to do to prepare for Mercer to correct some of the things that were our weaknesses in Chattanooga.
And how do you do that as far as this, you said serve receive? I guess it would be an emphasis for you as a libero. How do you do that in practice and improve in that area of the game?
We usually set out just a goal for what we want before we start any drill, where we will say, okay, we want to go into our seams every time this drill, or this drill we want to have our platform out early and our hips away from the ball, and just getting everyone on the same page before we start something so we are all working towards a common goal kind of creates that more of a united system.